Simula na naman ng isang bagong umaga.
Nagpapatuloy po ang Go Negosyo Talks Meet the Presidentiable Series at nakasalang pa rin po sa ating serye ang independent presidential aspirant, si Senator Grace po. At ang susunod pong magtatanong ay si Ms. Chilip. Go ahead po, Ms.
Senator
Patricia.
Grace po, as we are here with a lot of businessmen, small, medium, and large, I think one of the burning questions in our mind is, in your administration, will there be a difference in the tax environment?
I'm glad that the question is the environment instead of the person. But let me answer that. There are many reasons why we need to change our tax regulations in our brackets. Number one, I think we all know this, we're one of the highest tax countries in Asia, both personal and corporate income taxes. The average corporate income tax is 22% in Asia. We're at 30%. And then, of course, we know 30%, 32% is our highest tax bracket for personal income tax. Let me give you an example that you can relate to. Ang mga teachers po, let's say teachers na pinakamababang sweldo, ay kumikita ng 18,000 pesos a month. Pag sila po ay nagbayad ng buwis pagdating ng pag-file nila, umaabot po ng halos 30,000 ang binabayad nilang taxes. Meaning, ladies and gentlemen, you will actually have to work at least 2 months a year to be able just to cover your taxes. Now, why do we have to reform our taxes and the regulations? Number one, it's too onerous. Number two, people are just working to comply with the regulation, which is counterproductive. People are not anymore excited to work because they feel that it will just go to taxes. Number three, if we want to really be competitive with the Asian economic integration, we have to be able to compete globally and make it enticing for them to set up business here. Why would they want to do that if they have to pay a higher corporate income tax with the less than ideal infrastructure that we can offer them? So in the meantime, we have to incentivize them with those taxes. And if you study, I'm not an economist, pero may mga Laffer curve pa silang sinasabi, di ba? Okay, so if we deal with that, the higher the taxes, the lesser the income later on. It will become counterproductive. Russia had this example. They had several tax brackets, and finally, they decided to have 15% flat tax. I'm not saying that's what we're going to do right away. Well, we can do it in tranches. But then 15% flat tax, and they were so surprised that they actually had 26% more in income. So by lowering taxes, you make compliance much easier, you widen your tax base, you have more fiscal space. So I am for it. I am definitely for lowering taxes. Read my lips, lower taxes.
And now I have to ask you about the person. Because people do think that there is absolutely nothing wrong with just complying with the law. It's just that the person seated there is an issue. Do you think that is an issue?
Leadership is always an issue. It has to be a person that can produce. I think she's done her job, but there's also a question of, I would like to ask, why don't you answer the question? Would you like the same one? I mean, why me? Please raise your hands if you would like to retain the... Never mind, I won't put you on the spot. But I think that it would be too presumptuous for me to say that yes or no. First of all, I haven't spoken to her. But I would want you to know that I listen to you. I listen to your feedback. I want to know if this is somebody that will truly be able to help you, that will inspire you. Credentials are important. But you should also be able to inspire and encourage the industry, not just scare them. Thank you.
All right, fair enough. Yeah.
I guess maybe it's also the elephant in the room, no? In past presidential elections, foreign policy was never really discussed. But I believe, and I think a lot of the people here in this room would believe, that now more than ever, foreign policy must be an important part of your platform or vision of governance. especially with what is happening with China. I don't have to summarize what's going on, but we know that China is in this very aggressive mode, and the Philippines is right smack in the middle of an ongoing arbitration case. So what will be, maybe specifically, what will be the policy of the PO administration in dealing with China?
Yeah, I answered this before, but let me say, our Constitution needs to be upheld. So we have territorial integrity, national sovereignty, and national security. These are the three things in our Constitution. Having said that, we should continue a culture of cooperation and amity among other nations. This is important. Now, with China, well, our case is already in arbitration. Let us work under the regime of the UNCLOS, but let us not forget that there are other avenues of relations with China, cultural, education, economic, which we can pursue bilaterally on those levels. Now, we should also engage our other ASEAN neighbors to be able to constructively convince China to follow a code of conduct within those areas. Now, you were talking about international policy. It's very important. Why? We are a globalized community, as I said. But one of the things that we need to be able to revive is the National Security Council. The president used to have this with other members of the government, past presidents, past administrations, and they talk about security issues in the country. And this is important because there's an exchange of ideas. Let's say you have members from certain left-leaning partyless groups that can also contribute to the intelligence format that we need to be able to pursue. We cannot just be reactive. We have to be able to feed the president what the future might hold when it comes to certain policy issues. Now, we have different attachés all over the world. We have our embassies. Not only should we have security attachés, we have economic attachés. They can be there trying to find out, ano na bang trend dito sa Amerika ngayon? Uy, uso ngayon dito yung ganito. Uso ngayon ng ang cocoa water because of the electrolytes, pag nag-workout sa mga gym. Send it to the embassy kaagad. Uy, coconut industry. This is what they need now. This is a hit. So it's not just security intelligence, but also economic. So this is all part of it.
Just briefly, would you, if, for example, become president, would you allow for the moment, without sacrificing issues of sovereignty, the ongoing arbitration case, issues of jurisdiction, without sacrificing territory, of course, allow for the moment to set this aside and allow both countries to conduct a joint exploration of the area, specifically where there is new gas, that is SC-72. We know Malampaya is about to run out of gas, and here is an area which has been proven to be highly rich in gas deposits and can power our energy needs. Would you allow for the moment both countries to perhaps conduct an exploration and find out if there's really something underneath there, commercially viable? Because if there's none, what's there to quibble about?
I think the important thing is the president should always have the interests of our people in mind. Now, having said that, I'm not a lawyer and I'm not really involved in this arbitration case, but there's certain technicalities. If we conduct, let's say, a joint exploration with China, we might, on a technicality, abdicate certain things there that we are claiming in our position. But if it will be allowed, let's say no, this is still an ongoing case. It's just a private study. Maybe we can do it not even through governments. Let's do it through academic institutions to study it. Diba? Para there's no diplomatic tangling. Maybe there's always a way around. Ang ibig sabihin, kung talagang nanaisin para sa ikabubuti ng mas nakararami, ba't hindi? Pero syempre, meron na tayong mga ibang pinaninindigan ng mga kaso na kailangan lang natin pag-aralan mabuti na hindi naman natin ito isinusuko. Thank you.
Ms. Mirna?
My question is about big investors and small investors. And regarding the big investors, my question is, what's your position on land ownership of foreigners? And the small investors is about like, if you go to Divisoria right now, most of the small stalls are now being run by China people, not the Filipino Chinese, but people from China. And what are we going to do about it? And how can we help our local investors, I mean small investors?
Doon po sa tanong ninyo, tungkol doon sa mga vendors, talagang enforcement ng batas. Di ba? Kailangan BIR compliance, makikita naman doon, immigration compliance. Kasi kung walang compliance, nagkakaroon din tayo ng problema sa standard ng labor. Ibig sabihin how labor is treated and then also the right wages being paid. So they have to have accountability. Now, when it comes to your question, what was the first question?
Foreign ownership of land.
Foreign ownership of, it's pinaka-importante pa pala.
Economic provisions of the Constitution.
Ipagpatawad po ninyo, sa puntong ito, hindi ako naniniwala sa foreign ownership of land. Bakit? Sapagkat marami pang mga Pilipino ang hindi pa kayang bumili ng sarili nila ng lugar. Pero, yun lang. Pagdating po sa economic provisions na makakatulong rin sa atin, I am open to the review of our economic provisions in our Constitution. Why? Because the Constitution is a living and breathing document. It cannot be static. Let's talk about it, let's discuss it, but we should have certain mechanisms in place before we open it up. How? Let us identify the fragile industries that need support from the government. So that even before we tackle constitutional change in the economic provisions, we already know what our framework is. How are we going to help the farmers? Hindi yung bukas lang tayo ng bukas dyan, tapos darating yung mga lobbyists, sabihin na ito, isingit nyo, ito, isingit nyo. Hindi, dapat may national plan tayo. How are we going to help? So what does the government have to do? Meet with people like you. How can we help you so that you can create more jobs for the people? So I am not close on the idea of having certain economic provisions amended or economic provisions in the Constitution changed, but there are certain things like land ownership. I think we can think of long-term lease for as long as there's a government guarantee for that lease. May papeles na pinanghahawakan ang namumuhunan. At pangalawa, if that lease specifies for what purpose? Manufacturing, employing a certain number of jobs. I don't know. I don't want to overregulate, but I feel that we have to protect also our Filipino investors, our Filipino businessmen and workers.
There's one question. One of your opponents is very strong for the peace and order. He uses a lot of expletives to express himself. What is your plan? Because apparently this is a very major issue now. A lot of people are concerned about peace and order. Seems to be criminality, seems to be on the rise. What is your plan on how you can tackle this problem if you become president?
Which candidate, sir?
The one who doesn't like the Pope.
You know, usually when, I think that was a question, ma'am, you had earlier, you said, babae ka. Kayong may mga asawa, mga kapatid o ate, alam naman ninyo mga babae, malumanay lang, pero may angking tapang at galing. Pero sa bawat kilos natin, hindi naman tayo nang bubugbog. Makuha ka sa tingin. Putulin ko ang allowance mo. Hindi kita kailangan sakalin, pero marami akong pwedeng gawin sa'yo. Sa ating mga kababayan, naiintindihan ko po ang inyong mga problema pagdating sa peace and order. Ako rin ay isang nanay. Sinabi ko nga personal ang pakikipaglaban sa mga nagbabanta sa ating seguridad. Pero may ibang paraan po dyan. Para po sa peace and order, ito pong una nating gagawin. Na medyo napabayaan. Siguro kasi itong administrasyon na to, pinapangalagaan nilang ekonomiya natin, medyo nakalimutan po ang problema ng droga. Number one, idideklara ko pong national security threat ang drugs. Kasi pag ginawa niyo po yan, hindi lang po mga PNP kundi ibang sangay ng gobyerno ay makikipagtulungan na para masugpuan ito. Ang sabi nga yung top 100 na mga wanted, kasi may database yan, ay dapat nakapaskil sa lahat ng lugar. Pangatlo, dapat meron tayong database talaga ng mga kriminal dito sa ating bayan. Pero ang importante, walang makakapigil dyan sa mga yan kundi the certainty of punishment. Ibig sabihin, ang ating judicial process dapat mabilis at hindi lamang kinikilingan ang mga teknikalidad, kundi kung anong nararapat gawin. Ipakulong mo yan ng 10 taon, 20 taon, maiisip yung iba kung gagawin nila yon. Ang problema, ang dami nakakawala eh. Kaya nga po, part of the amendment that I did to the Dangerous Drugs Act, dati po, I didn't realize na kung merong mga drug bust, kailangan 3 kayong magkakasama. Member of the DOJ, member of the barangay, and 1 media. Pag kulang sa 3, o wala doon, naging 2 lang, 1 lang, tapon yung kaso na yun. Kaya pala, ang dami mga pushers na nakakalusot. So inamyendahan po natin na pwedeng 2 na lang at kung hindi pa rin makakakomply, as long as there's overwhelming evidence, pwede na silang makulong. Kaya mas madali na silang nadedeta na ngayon. Ngayon, ano pang isang ginawa natin? Akala kasi nila babae. Baka walang kakayanan sa peace and order. Hindi po. Isa pa sa aming tinulak sa budget ngayon ay na magkaroon ng National Emergency Line. Ang buong Pilipinas. At ako'y nagpapasalamat sa PLDT Group sapagkat matagal na nilang tinaguyod ito na hindi ginagawa ng gobyerno. Pero ngayon, dahil kay General Marquez, nabigyan pansin at ni DILG Chairman Sarmiento, nabigyan po ng pondo ito. Kaya ngayon, pag may denial kang 118 nationally, meron na tayong emergency line. Now, meron pang mga bugs to hindi pa to perfect. Kasi ang hiningi lang nila parang 48 million pesos. Basta less, not very much. So they still don't have the software to be able to identify exactly where the call is coming from, which is what they have in other countries. So we are trying to fund that technology that is needed to make it more efficient. But definitely, we need to be able to assign a good PNP chief. And I think that little by little, the PNP chief that we have now is certainly a better example and is more capable of doing his job. Pero ang presidente, kung sino man yan, ay dapat ipakita, I will not tolerate corrupt judges, or corrupt police officers, or corrupt government officials, and throw them in jail after due process. Because otherwise, if you do not set an example, people will just be emboldened to continue the cycle of corruption.
Okay, marami pa po tayong pwedeng pag-usapan tungkol sa estilo ng pamunuan ni Senator Grace po sakaling siya po ay manalo bilang presidente. Huwag po kayong aalis, magbabalik po ang Go Negosyo Talks, Meet the Presidentiables Series.